Good evening. This is Yolanda, Real Talk with Yolanda. And I'm happy that you guys have come back to visit me. What shall I say? I'm glad I have something to even talk about because I don't like small talk. I prefer conversation that has substance. Well, anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. In the previous recording or podcast, we discussed a continuation of my child abuse. Well, as I was listening or viewing those two recordings, I mistakenly omitted my relationship with my younger siblings since I was always fighting with my older sister. Excuse me. So, because it was just myself and my older sister for quite some time, because my younger sister is about 5 years younger than me, and my younger brother is about 10 years younger than me. My younger sister is the one who I shared that she suffered from breast cancer a while back. Well, when it was just my older sister and I living in the projects, uh, when I found out that my mother was having another child, I'm not gonna lie, I was very upset because for so long, for what 5 years, I was the baby. So because of that sense of jealousy, I would say, of no longer being that younger child, I took a lot of my frustration out on my younger sister. Not when she was young, but when we got a lot older, like when she was like, I would say around 12, 13. That's when I would just purposely just take a lot of my anger out. If I was upset with my older sister because, she picked a fight with me or, I would take that anger out on my younger sister because I didn't have anyone else to take it out on other than my older sister who was already fighting me all the time. And I can truly say that, and this is for all parents, when you, first of all, you have to really take your children into consideration. If you have an older child and you are contemplating having another child, there's a way that you, or I should, or shall I say, suggest that you introduce or pre-warn that child. Okay, mommy's gonna have another child, and you're gonna be the big sister, or you're gonna be the big brother, and they're gonna need your help. Talk to the child like that so that when that child comes along, that child who was always the baby and now pushed back as the middle child will not feel that they're being replaced. And that's how I felt actually, because I was five, and then here comes a little sister. So that's how I felt at 5 years old. I felt like I was being replaced. So in actuality, I can truly say that's when it all began with me not feeling, well, of me feeling as though I don't belong or I'm being replaced. And then what I shared with you on my child abuse recording one with the continuation of recording two. So put all that together, as well as what I'm just now sharing with you that I mistakenly omitted in the first one. So for a long time, I felt not appreciated, not wanted, like I was in the way. So all of that compiled on top of one another, into my adulthood, never felt love, never felt wanted. The only time I can truly say I actually felt love was with with my maternal grandparents and my aunts on my mother's side. Like all of my aunts on my mother's side, I love them dearly, and they always treated me as if I was the only child, even though there were so many of us. But that was the type of love and um, relationships that my mother's sisters always gave all the nieces and all the nephews. Nobody felt out of it. No one felt that one was getting more love than the other because my aunts always shared, just shared the love. They had so much love to always give. So no one ever felt out of place or anything like that. Excuse me. And you would think, excuse me, and you would think that because I come from a very large family on my mother's side, that we, many of us would feel left out, but we really didn't. Excuse me, that's my chronic bronchitis acting up. But yeah, so we never felt unwanted. We never felt or anything like that. Um, but I just wanted to just share that piece about my relationship with my younger sister, and that I can say that that pretty much went on until I will say when we separated during that time, and all of that information's in the recording of one and two. So I'm not going to reiterate or repeat anything that I said in the previous ones. So, but today we are adults. We all have families. Unfortunately, I'm the only one out of my siblings that are not married due to my domestic violence situations, unsuccessful in relationships, but I'm good. I tell people I'm living my best life because I rather be by myself and do me and just do everything that I've always wanted to do without having to report to anyone or having to think about that next person or even with cooking. If I decide I want to cook something, I don't have to cook for two and three people. Just cook for me. And that's what I enjoy. I may sound like I'm being selfish, but excuse me, I'm so sorry. You guys started out with me when I was suffering from that virus, and now I'm through with the virus, but my chronic bronchitis just wants to flare up. Now, hopefully, that will help. So, but but yes, back to yes, all my siblings are married, and like I said, I'm living my best life. I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do. I'm traveling. I'm speaking at workshops, summits, engagements about my ordeal being subjected to child abuse and domestic violence and so forth. So um, I'm good. I'm good. So now that we've covered that, we're going to now move forward to providing some advice or yeah, a little advice for my domestic violence, um, domestic abuse survivors. As I've shared in the previous podcast, there are some domestic violence survivors and domestic abuse survivors, and survivors of other kinds of abuse that have stated that there needs to be something or an organization that provides help financially for those who are leaving their abusive situations, because oftentimes many of them have to start over, just point blank. Many of them have to start over because some have been housewives for so long or may have placed their education on back on you know in the background for a while they done their wifey duties or so forth. So while being subjected to domestic violence, they may have had to receive a certain amount of funds by their abuser to take care of certain bills around the house or groceries or things that the children may have needed. So when they eventually leave their abuser, it's very difficult for them to just pick up where they start. Um, Now, for the single survivors, I don't see that to be too much of an issue financially because being single is a lot, I'm not going to say easier, but you don't have to worry about a second mouth to feed. You don't have to worry about a child. So, being a single survivor, there are a lot more resources. You can move around a lot easier without having a child having to be responsible for a child. Okay. There's resources out there for single survivors. And I'm going to give you an example. When I returned from Iraq, the job that I used to work, because I was in the reserves at that time, and then I was called up for active duty. So I had a job, a full time job. But when I returned, the job that I had, the position I had already been omitted or obsolete, shall I say. I had no job. However, I did have an associate's degree and I had a bachelor's degree at that time in criminal justice. It was still hard for me, or difficult, shall I say. It was still difficult for me to obtain employment, especially for the amount that I believed that I should have been paid with a bachelor degree. Because I had difficulty obtaining employment, I took whatever I could find. I washed toilets, I cleaned toilets. Yes, I cleaned floors. I wasn't beneath that. I was not beneath that. I really wanted a job working in the hotels, honestly, because that was something I've always wanted. I never looked down at janitorial jobs or anything of that nature, sanitation jobs. I never looked down at that. People would look at me and probably assume that I would look down at those type jobs, but I never did. I always respected individuals who worked in the hospitality field, in the hotels, as janitors and making the beds, cleaning the rooms. I've always, and I still to this day have nothing but the utmost respect for anyone who worked in the hospitality field, even those who drive the sanitation trucks. I have nothing but the utmost respect for them because it takes special people to do those jobs that many of us will not do. Okay? So, but yes, I applied to several hotels from the four-star hotels to the five-star hotels. And each one returned stating I was overqualified because of a degree. That was very disappointing because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make up beds. I love doing domesticated work. I know. For some who are looking at me like, oh, she don't look like she like doing no. I do. I really do. And honestly, you're gonna laugh at this one. I love cleaning toilets. I don't know where that come from. Maybe because when I was in the military during basic training, we always had to spot clean them there on toilets. To the point where drill sergeant came through there and he looked, those toilets had to be pretty pearly white. Okay, so from that point on, cleaning toilets is very important to me. I cannot sit on dirty toilet. Um, mm-mm. Toilet got to be clean. I love cleaning toilets. I will spend more time cleaning a toilet than I will cleaning a bedroom, even though I cannot. My family will vouch for this, and my adult children will vouch for this too. I cannot get out of my bed and start my day without making up my bed. And again, that goes back to how I was raised. If you listen or view the previous recordings, that will explain why I am the way that I am. Very meticulous, very tidy, very domesticated too. Um, hey, at least I can say I always have a clean home, right? But yes, so to my survivors, for those who saying that they need some financial help, there are hotels out there, there are motels out there that are always looking for help. Always. Now, mind you, you're not going to receive the amount of money that you may have been used to if you have been working prior to being subjected to abuse. But there are jobs out there. There are jobs out there. Fast food places always need help. Now, me, I didn't want to apply at a fast food place because I knew how the customers, the majority of the customers that come through there are very disrespectful, and I would lose my job. I know that. Especially after watching that new show, like I mentioned before, Customer Wars, and how folks just come inside the uh, fast food places, and because they get the wrong order, they want to throw it at somebody. Oh no, see, I be the wrong one. I be the wrong one. So, but anyway, um, yeah, fast food is not for me. It's not for me. So if anybody ever tell you, we saw Yolanda working in the drive-through or at a McDonald's or a Wendy's or something, you better rest assured they lying, and it's just a double because it's somebody that look like me. Because uh-uh, uh-uh. Those people take too much mess off of customers, especially rudely customers. Come on, okay, they pretty much got your order incorrect. There's a way that you let them know. Excuse me, I didn't order this. Be polite about it. You don't gotta be all rudely and I had asked for this and be throwing stuff. Please, I've seen better. And little 3 and 4 year old little girls can act a lot better and act more prissy and ladylike than a lot of you so-called ladies that be calling yourself throwing stuff at, throwing your food back and everything. Come on now, please. If you're gonna wear the title, then act like it. I'm not going to get started on that. Anyway, back to my survivors. Yes, there are jobs out there. You can do that. You can do the house cleaning like I suggested. Um, let me see. What else did I work? I did a lot of. Oh, if you don't want to do the hotels cleaning, you can do Mary Maid service. There are a lot of private services out there that you can work for to build your clientele, basically. And if that's something you decide you want to do down the road, you can do that. You can start your own maid service. But I did that too. I had no shame. The only problem when you start working and having to go into people's homes to clean, you will always come into um, some type of action with those type of residents who are very bougie and act like you are going to steal something. Now, mind you, I'm certain some people do go into nice homes and steal anything, but if you had viewed and listened to my previous podcast, there's nothing that a wealthy person or a person who is rich have that I would want. There's nothing. There's nothing that I have not been exposed to living in New York and living with bougie paternal family. I've been to operas. I've been to Broadway shows. I know how to have classy etiquettes. So there's nothing that I have not been exposed to that you have that I would want. But anyway, so, oh yeah, I can roll with the best of them. You know, I can be ghetto. I can act like, I have $1 million home. Okay, that's how I was raised. So I'm like a chameleon. I can go either way. So, but again, I I remember I was called to clean this particular home. It was in I don't know, it's Southland, South Lake. That's a place here in Texas where people that have new money basically live in that area. And the homes are okay. I've seen better. But so a lot of them are like business owners of their own companies. They may be doctors, lawyers, people that work for the TV station, journalists. They all live up in that area. People that just have new money. So I went to this particular home, and I kid you not, here I am walking around cleaning the home, and every room that I went into, I turned around. I felt the presence behind me, and I turned around, and it was the husband. I'm like, yes, sir. Is there something that I can do for you? Is there something you need? Am I doing something wrong? And he was like, no, I just want to make certain that you're not putting anything abrasive to clean our tub. Mind you, their tub knobs were like brass. It surely wasn't no daggone gold. But I guess he just saw me as a black female that probably have never been exposed to anything. I was not one of them ordinary black women. Okay. So anyway, so I said, yes, your wife did explain to the agency what exactly to use on the countertops and so forth. And he was like, oh, okay, okay. I was like, really, dude? Really? For a person that have all of this, you sure act like you're not used to it, you know? But yeah, so I had to deal with that, but I eventually quit that. And the reason why I quit it wasn't because I didn't like what I'm doing, because like I said, I enjoy cleaning. I quit that job because I just returned from Iraq. This man standing behind me, and the blankety blank that I went through in Iraq with men, and you gonna stand behind me? Uh-uh, nah. So because I did not want to go from 0 to 100 and have a flashback on these customers that does stuff like that, I said it's not for me because I'll end up in jail. I end up in jail. Don't stand up behind me like that. Don't walk up behind me like you walk up behind me. You better make some noise because I could have been in the kitchen, in your kitchen cleaning, and you walk up behind me. Okay, don't walk up behind me. So that's why I gave up that job. It wasn't safe for me, and it wouldn't have been safe for any of those homeowners who walk up behind me like he did. It wasn't a good thing for him. But anyway, so, but again, to my survivors that don't have children, there are plenty of jobs out there. You can start somewhere. Rome wasn't built overnight, and rich people did not become rich or wealthy overnight unless they were, or unless they received an inheritance, or unless they won the lotto. Other than that, they had to work for what they have. Okay? The only people that did not have to work for what they have are those who receive an inheritance, those who were born with a platinum spoon in their mouth. Okay, like many celebrity children. So we're not talking about them. We're talking about everyday average people. Okay, so again, Rome wasn't built overnight. So you have to start from somewhere. And another thing, if all you have is a high school education, this is a great time for you to apply for a grant of some sort, scholarships, and go back to school. Okay, go back to school. And you cannot say that you don't have a friend or a family member that you can stay at their place and get yourself squared away because you have no children. Okay, so yeah, I suggest that you reach out to a family member that you can trust that supports you. When I say support you, I'm not talking about financially either. I'm talking about emotional support um, until you can get back up on your feet. You know, if they only have a 1 bedroom apartment, or if they don't have enough room in their home, heck, sleep on the floor. There's nothing wrong with making you a little pallet on the floor and sleep. Get you some blankets and pillows and cushion it up and sleep. You don't have to be in the bed. Like I said, people, you only knew, you know, when you're used to not having, you know how to make the best of what you already have. Okay. Um, if I was to lose everything today, my home and everything, I know how to reach out to a relative and get some things, on a couch or something. Okay. Growing up, we slept on the floor. It was no biggie. I mean, the best fun with cousins and relatives were on the floor, especially when we have the weekends and we eating hot dogs and pork and beans, and while our parents are out, and Mama, we call her Mama, which was my maternal grandmother. We call her Mama. Mama watched all of us, all first cousins. We all together in the living room on the floor. That was the best slumber parties we ever had, growing up. So, again, if you're a single survivor, there are plenty of things you can do. Also, another thing is you have a hobby. There's something you know how to do. Me, I knew how to crochet. I also knew how to sew. And that's what oh, and I also knew how to do hair, like cornrows as well as regular braiding. So I made money on the side when I left my children's father, and we left the shelter after moving to like three of them, and then I finally rented out a home from an older gentleman who was very gracious enough to rent out his spare home because he heard about my situation from the domestic violence shelter. So, yeah, I make money on the side doing hair. While I was going to school to pursue my associate's degree. When I left my children's father, all I had was a high school education and about a year underneath my belt of college credits. Because, mind you, like I shared in the previous podcast, I was a freshman when I met him. So I eventually had to drop out of school. So not only was I attending school while my son was in kindergarten, my daughter was in a Christian daycare that I did not have to pay. Uh, I still did extra hair on the side on the weekends. I crocheted. I made little, outfits and things of that nature. So think of a hobby that you enjoy doing when you were married before the abuse started, or when you was a teenager. I'm sure you can reach down and think about something you enjoy doing, whether it's baking cakes or um, painting, doing art. You can make a living off of stuff like that too. If you ever, always wanted to be your own boss or your own entrepreneur, you can do that. So the sky is the limit. The sky is truly the limit when you are a single survivor of abuse. But it's not the same with someone who has children because regardless of what decision they make, they have to think about the children. Like my situation, I have to think about the children. So when I used to braid hair, I would do it when my children would sleep at night. And I would have friends come over at night, like around 10 o'clock. By that time, my kids were already in the bed asleep. And it would be on a weekend, like a Friday night or a Saturday night. I would do hair. So you have to adjust your schedule so that it does not interfere with your children. Okay. And another thing, you also have to be careful with the people who you're bringing into your home too. That's another thing. So, at least with the people I knew, I had already known them for quite some time when I decided, that this is what I wanted to do. And they were individuals that were in the same situation as me. They were single moms, receiving government assistance. So we helped each other, okay? But in your situation, you may not be able to, or you may have a fear of bringing total strangers in your home. I get that. And I would not suggest that you did that, but you can, find a place like a park while the kids are at school. You can, meet that person at the park where there's a lot of people around. And you can, do their hair if that's what you want to do. If you're in the hair business, and um, or if you decide you want to do crochet, you can crochet enough of items like scarves for the winter, hats, gloves, and go out to your local park and sell them. Of course, you have to get permission from the park manager, but yeah, there's all kinds of ways that as mothers that are leaving a domestic violence situation, we can be very creative um, to be able to have some type of income coming in. And again, there's jobs out there. And as for a mother with small children, you have to think about that. And but I'm one. I like to be transparent. So when I left my children's father and I needed to look for jobs and stuff like that, while they were in school, I was doing my job hunting, and I was very transparent. I told the interviewer, "Look, my kids and I, we just got through staying in a domestic violence shelter for the last 9 months. We've had to move 3 places, and I have no um, college degree, but I do have some college credits. I have a high school diploma, and I really need a chance. And I would appreciate if you give me a chance, because I really need a job, so I can feed my children. Sometimes we have to be um, an open book. And there are so many people out there who don't like to be an open book, who don't like to be transparent, like to only give but just a little bit of information. Look, I'll tell anybody, you want to know something about me? Ask me. I'm an open book. Okay? I am an open book. What is there to hide? I'm an open book. So sometimes you have to be enough of transparent and be honest if you want something. Now, granted, there are sometimes you don't want to sh- show or tell too much about what's going on in your life, but you being a survivor, trust me, there are plenty companies, agencies that will give you a job just because of that. Okay. And if you want to feel even more comfortable, go to a local domestic violence shelter and let them know, look, I just left another domestic violence shelter and I'm looking for work. Or you can even ask your domestic violence shelter where you just left. Since I've been here and I know, the protocol and everything, can I have a job here? Open your mouth and ask for a job. I mean, people can't read your mind. They're not telepathic. So again, this is to both my single survivors as well as my survivors with children. Okay? For those of you who have children, again, you're going to have to look for a job that's going to be conducive to your schedule regarding your children being in school. So basically, you will want something that you can do while your children are in school. Okay? So that you're not late picking them up, but you're at least an hour early to pick them up. Okay? And working at a domestic violence shelter or any type of abuse center or agency will take you. All you got to do is open your mouth and ask. Okay? And who knows? I mean, you may make a huge impact, a positive one, at those domestic violence shelters. Okay? I've done those too. Volunteered at some and worked at some because of my domestic violence background. So you have to, how shall I say it? Let the system work for you. Okay? It's out there. Use it. Use it. Okay? And I don't believe there is anybody, maybe the homeless people, but I believe that even a lot of them have families that they just don't want to go to, or their families don't know that they're out there homeless, and they too embarrassed to reach out to their family to let them know that they're homeless. But I don't believe there's anybody that's walking on this earth that don't have somebody that they can go to for help. At least one person, at least. Now, I do understand there are many who may have been the only child. So when they grew up as an adult, they don't have any siblings because their parents didn't have any siblings. I can understand that because I met several people and I'm like, what? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine not having no siblings, no nieces, no nephews, no cousins. But yeah, there are people out there who parents had them late, or for whatever reason, they're the only child and their parents are the only child. So they don't have any siblings, they don't have no cousins, they don't have no aunts and uncles, and grandparents passed away. I'm like, wow. Mm, I can't even imagine. I really can. And as much as my families get on my nerve, Lord knows I appreciate my family. I do. But there are sometimes they really get on underneath my skin. But nothing is like family. Nothing is like family. Oh, boy, just imagine. No family at all to go to. But But yeah, even though you may not have a sibling or aunt or uncle or grandparents or parents alive, you got somebody. You're not walking out every day, walking and going back and forth to work, not associating to nobody. For those of you who are working, but for those of you who are not working, no, no, no. You have come in contact with somebody that has the same interest as you. Okay, you're not walking around not speaking to anyone. I don't believe that you are. You're speaking to somebody, whether it's somebody at the grocery store. Hello, good morning. How you doing? Whatever. Um, mm, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I don't believe that much. But even if you just reach out to one person, and ask for their help. I believe that oftentimes we tend to go without because many of us have too much pride to ask for help. Um, I can say that because that was me. During my abusive situation, my family didn't know I was going through that. For one, I was embarrassed to even tell them because my siblings they all was happily married and everything, and I was embarrassed, especially being one of the oldest siblings. My you expect your younger siblings to look up to you and to not be in a position where my younger siblings could look up to me. So yeah, I had too much pride to ask. But I do remember when my children and I we were living in that rental home, and I had a vehicle, and this was before. Yeah, this happened right after. No, yeah, before I had to walk. But anyway, I had a vehicle, but I didn't have a job at the time. I was looking for a job, and I needed money for groceries. This was before I even applied for government assistance. So I needed money for groceries. I needed money for gas so I can look for a job while the kids were in school and all that stuff. And I didn't want to call my parents, even though I knew my parents would have helped. I didn't want to call, I definitely didn't want to call my paternal family. Um, so I reached out to my oldest sister who was married, and all I asked for, and I mentioned this in my first book. Is it my first book? Yes, I mentioned it in my first book, Scarred and Not Broken. I believe it was that book. And then I think I may have mentioned it again in my last book, which was Silent Victims. But anyway, I reached out to my sister and I asked her, I called her from a telephone booth and I asked her for $25 so I could put some in my gas tank and buy my children and I some food like a loaf of bread and some cereal. And back then, things didn't cost a whole lot. Heck, I think that back then gas was like what 70 something cents, 80 something cents. Yeah, it wasn't like it is now, $2 and $3. No. Um, and I could laugh now because I'm in a better place, but I was hurt when I asked her for that $25. You would have thought I was a drug addict and I was asking for some money for some crack because my sister fixed her mouth to ask me, what do you need $25 for? Ooh, boy, I could laugh now. It was so funny. Yeah, she asked me, what do I need $25 for? I said, I need it for gas and for some groceries for the children. At that time, she didn't know where I was going to eat it because I didn't share it with her. And she said, well, I have to ask my husband. Ooh, when she said, I have to ask my husband if I can give you $25. I said, okay, okay. I said, so when do you want me to call you back so I'll know? She said, well, you can call me back and, you can call me back tomorrow. So basically, we're supposed to stop. Oh, wow. Anyway, I told her, I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll find a way. And I hung up. I hung up. Mm, mm. No one in my family to this day have to ever ask me for money for me to question them. uh, and I've had family members that ask me. I've had cousins, first cousins, when I first came home from Iraq, to ask me for money. I didn't lend it to them. One thing I don't believe in when it comes down to family is lending your family money because that can really ruin a good relationship if you have with a family member. I don't believe in lending money to family. Matter of fact, I don't believe in lending money, period. I don't. I don't. Mm-mm. When it comes down to family, hell, if I have these shows, and my BFF, mm-mm. So we like sisters. Anyway, but my children, same thing. If I have it, yeah. Forget about my grandkids, of course. But I don't believe some family. And speaking of that, it bothers me when I see people on like the court shows, like Judge Malthus and all them other TV shows, suing their mamas and their sisters and their brothers and their aunties and grandparents. I'm like, y'all really doing this? Wow. My motto is if you don't have it, don't give it. Because if you have to sue your family, your loved ones for money that you shouldn't have gave them in the first place because you knew you couldn't afford to give it to them, then don't give it. Don't give it. That's so embarrassing to sue your mother or your child, your adult child. Come on, people. Where's the morality? I just okay. Hey, y'all do y'all. I know I don't. I don't sue my family just because they don't give me back my money. No, because I don't ask for it back. Because apparently you need it if you're asking for it. So why would I ask for it back? That don't make any sense. Oh my goodness. Anyway, again, to my survivors, there are jobs out there. For those of you who don't have children, please go get a job. Please, please. And also, there are programs that will help you too. There's food banks where you can get food. And that's another thing. I went to food banks, okay? And I had children, but I still went to food banks. You're single with no kids. Go to the food banks if you're hungry, you need food. Now, for my survivors that have children, please go to the food banks. There are so many food banks you can go to, okay? And look, you can go to a different food bank in a different city, different location, okay? Go to food banks. I had no shame. I went to food banks. They helped me, okay? They helped me. So what I'm basically doing here for many of you, because I call myself a survivor turned thriver, and that's why I can call myself a thriver because I was a hustler. When it came down to finding a job, I was a hustler. When it came down to finding where I can get some food to feed me and my children, I was a hustler. When it came down to trying to have some extra subsidized income, like doing people's hair, cleaning toilets. I did what I had to do, okay, for me and my children. I had no shame, no pride. I had shame. The only time I had pride was when I didn't want to let my family know what I was, what happened. But there's resources out there. Let your fingers do the walking. Go to a local library. If you don't have a computer, go to your local library and put your name down there so you can reserve a spot to get on the computer and find jobs, find resources. Come on now. It's not like it was when I was going through this. I was going through this in the 90s, okay? Things have gotten so much better. Stop acting like there's no resources out there for you guys because there is. I remember when I was going through my domestic violence, it was in the late 80s, no, the mid 80s, late 80s. Domestic violence was just evolving to a point where the judicial system had intervened, where now cops were able to intervene and lock up the abuser. Okay? It was just evolving around my time. The way many of you survivors are acting like there's no help out there, that lets me see and know you wouldn't have been able to survive back in the early mid 80s or even in the 70s. You wouldn't have survived because there was no resources like it is now. There are resources. There are so many more resources. Okay. Um, there are domestic violence agencies that have websites. You can Google, type in domestic violence agencies, and you'll get a slew of local agencies in your location that will provide services. Okay? Many of these, and see, this is why I do what I do, and that is establishing my own private organization because what I do is I provide webinar online lectures about what to look for, the signs, and all of that about domestic violence so that you don't find yourself subjected to domestic violence because you will already know the signs. I also host annual fundraising charitable events. That's for collecting or gathering funds to be a blessing to other agencies who are or may be struggling financially. Like I assisted, I would say, two agencies during COVID who doors were about to close. One was locally, and another one was out of state, in a total different state. And that's what I do. So and the reason why I do this is a way of paying it forward. because once upon a time, a domestic violence agency helped me and my children. Not one agency, but three. So this is my way to help other agencies. This is my way of helping other victims. This is my way of helping other survivors of abuse, regardless if it's domestic violence abuse or if it's just domestic violence, because we already know domestic violence and domestic violence abuse are not the same, although they may be interchangeable, but they're not the same. Domestic violence involves power and control over a partner, an intimate partner, a spouse, significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend. That's what domestic violence consists of. Domestic abuse consists of the same thing, power and control of a from a parent on a child, of abusing that child or that family member. Um, Domestic abuse consists of more than one victim, opposed to a domestic violence itself consists of an intimate partner, someone who you live with, and so forth. So, and although again they're both interchangeable, and they're interchangeable because they both consist of abuse. They both consist of power and control. The only difference is one consists of multiple and the other one consists of one. Okay? So I'm going to end here, but I just wanted to just share that. And if you want to know more about topics that I address, there is a future webinar. 8 week, it's called 8 weeks domestic violence basic boot camp. You can find that on Eventbrite. All you have to do is type in 8 week domestic violence boot camp, or just put domestic violence boot camp, whatever those keywords are. Pick a keyword, throw it in there, okay, and it'll pop up for you. Okay, you can also follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Facebook, and you can follow me on Instagram, Domestic Violence LLC. However, we have just amended our name. So for the next few weeks, we will be making some updated changes on our social media pages as well as our website. If you're interested on future podcasts or future lectures, because again, the lectures varies on topics. You can reach out to the website at domesticviolencellc.com, all one word. And you can go ahead and see what is being offered, as well as future fundraising events. And at least for now, until the website is completed with its updates. Because, like I said, we have amended our organization name because we have we are collaborating with other affiliates to provide additional services for survivors of abuse and domestic violence, to help them rebuild self-esteem and self-worth, and um, so that they can sustain and become self-sufficient again. So those are new services we are going to be providing to our survivors, especially for those who say, don't, there's no help out there, with regards to helping us, getting back up on our feet and, finances. No, part of that is you got to do your part. And your part is looking for a job, starting from the bottom and working yourself up. If you have to work two jobs, do that. Especially if you don't have no job. I've had to work two and three jobs myself. However, I will admit, I do not enjoy it. But I knew where I wanted to be in life, and I knew I did not want to be struggling for the rest of my life. So I had to do what I had to do. And as women, come on now, women have always been strong. Okay, so come on, this ain't nothing new for us to have to take on extra work. Okay, I'm not trying to downplay or dismiss or any type of situation that you may have been going through because I'm not talking about um, how to bake a cake on here. Okay, so I've been through what you just now have come out of. So I'm trying to share with you how I became a thriver, what I had to do, not worrying about pride and being embarrassed. So, I'm just hoping that none of you are taking it the wrong way. But again, this is real talk with Yolanda. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm just trying to keep it real and let you know there are jobs out there and you have to put on your hustle. Do what you got to do to become financially sustainable again. And I don't know. Because there are a lot of women out there who are housewives today. That may have been their choice. That may have been their choice, who are still housewives while the husband go off to work. That's something that they in their household have figured out. That's the best thing for them. I'm not putting any of them down because I was once upon a time a housewife with my second husband. However, I didn't stay at home and did nothing. I didn't stay at home and watch TV all day either. I didn't stay at home and just cook all day while the kids and the husband were at school and work. Oh no. You know what I did? I took advantage of my education with my second husband. I went to school. While he was at work, kids were at school, I was at school. And when I got out of school, I went to go pick up my kids. Okay? So it worked out perfectly. And I received my associate's degree by being a housewife. And the home was clean, dinner was on the table, and I had my associate degree. So it all worked out. I wasn't one of them housewives that just didn't do anything. Okay? And then when I graduated with my associate's degree, I came home and one night I asked him, I said, look, I found a pamphlet. My professor told me that I can receive my bachelor's degree in 1 year. It's called an advanced cohort. What do you think about that? He said, well, go ahead. I got you. We don't need no two incomes right now. And I said, cool. You think I said, no, 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 I'm going to go and get a job? No, I didn't. He said, I can continue on and go to school and get my bachelor's degree. That's what I did. I didn't say, okay, I'll do that and then change my mind and just sit at home and sleep in the bed all day, and watch the soap operas. And I didn't do that. I said I wanted to do it and I did it. I held to my word and I graduated within a year with my bachelor's degree. Once I got my bachelor's degree, I was tired of school. So then I got a job. Okay? So for all you housewives that all you want to do is just clean the house and cook and not advance your education, I'm talking about for those of you who don't have a college education. I'm not talking about those who actually have a college education and you and your husband chose to that you'll stay at home with the kids until they get a certain. I'm not talking about you, okay? I'm talking about those of you who don't have a college education or may just have a few college credits because you never finished and and you're not taking advantage of that situation. You could be taking some online college courses to complete your college education. You don't have to just, figure, well, he's at work and the kids at school. I don't have to do, because what will happen if that husband just come home and decide he don't want to be with you no more, or he want a divorce, or he decide he want to knock you upside your head? Then what you gonna do? You're gonna be like a lot of these other women out here who relied on his income. I always tell you, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't rely on anybody for no income, ladies, men, because there are a lot of men now who have decided to be stay-at-home dads. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a different era. If that's what y'all want to do you. Okay, do you. But at least have something on the side in case if that woman come home and act like a whirlwind and knock you upside your head, or come home and say, honey, I want a divorce. You can have the kids and I'm going to go and be with John Doe. What you going to do? She's the one that's been bringing home the bacon, as they used to say back in the 70s and 80s. She's the one that's been bringing home the income. What do you have? Nothing. It's always good to have some type of income of your own. Oh, boy. Mm-mm-mm. People, stop relying on your partners. Stop relying on your spouses. Stop relying on your significant others. I don't care how much they tell you they love you, going nowhere, and everything is hunky dory. No, have your own income. Don't rely on nobody else. Mm, mm, mm. And if one of you are paying the bills, that's the wrong thing to do. Y'all both need to be knowing what bills are being paid. Because if the one who is out the house, or the one who may be a hybrid, or one who may just be working at home, if that person is the one writing the checks or paying the bills for, the mortgage, the electric, the water, and all that, and you don't know what's being paid, that's gonna be on you. When they decide they want to leave you. I'm not condoning. I'm not. I'm just saying, people, we are in a different era. The divorce rate are skyrocket. It's people are not staying married long like they used to. Okay, you're married one day, next day you're divorced, or next day you in the bottom of the ocean. Hint, hint. Yeah, that. Too many too many newlyweds. Not even I mean, the ink ain't even dry on the marriage license, and they already either killing one another for the life insurance policy, and or they got another somebody on the side. Y'all crazy. Y'all crazy. Why even get married? What, for the life insurance policy? But yet and still now those same people are like serving time for swiping off their spouse for the life insurance policy. Was it worth it? No. Gosh. Yes, we're living in a time where people are so unhinged. And I'm certain you guys have heard me say that word so many times. Because people are not, they're not wrapped too tight nowadays. People are losing it. Like, dang, what's going on with y'all? Did y'all smoke something? Did you drink something that's making you lose your mind? And the biological fathers insisting and impregnating and and raping their own daughters, and moms letting the boyfriends beat and kill the kids, and dads doing the same, letting their girlfriends and their new wives beat and kill their kids, and this mm, mm, mm. I don't understand. I really don't understand the reason for anybody to kill their child. I don't. If you cannot afford your child, there are relatives. I'm certain some sane ones, not no insane relatives. I'm sure there are some sane relatives that you can sign your parental rights over and allow that child to have a life. And if you don't have any relatives that you can trust to raise your child right, give your turn your child over to an adoption agency. Do the right thing. Turn your child into an adoption agency. Look, I want to go to the courthouse. No, don't go to the adoption agency. Go to a courthouse. Just walk into the courthouse and say, what, I would like to release all my parental rights. I no longer want to be a parent. At least your child is in the courthouse. They are in good care. They can just go, and be placed somewhere else. But I don't understand. I just don't understand. I really don't. Yes, it is difficult and very challenging to be a parent, especially now. I wouldn't want, I'm 58 and I would not want to have a child right now because people are crazy. You can't trust your child in daycare. You can't trust your child with a neighbor. You can't trust your child with a family member. You can't trust your child with nobody. Let alone trust them, while you run up to the store and leave them with your boyfriend. Can't trust your child with nobody. Mm-mm-mm. People. And then what bothers me more than anything, these young girls that are having 7 and 8, 12 kids before. You can't afford them. Oh, I forgot. It's so that you can get government assistance. I think they cut that off a long time ago. You don't get money for every child you have now like they did years ago. See, the government caught on big time. All these people having all these kids, they got real smart. So now you stuck with all them kids. I understand that. But you know what? See, people look at me and say, she probably never been on hard times. Trust me, I've been on hard times. And a lot of things I haven't shared on the podcast because you can read it in the books. I have 3 books out there. You want to know anything? Read it. But I'm not gonna sit on here for no 5 and 10 hours telling about my whole daggone life story and all the hardships I've been through. Yes, I've been through them. Yes, I've been through many nights without eating because I had nothing to eat. I gave it to my children so they would not starve. I've been there. I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. Remember being in a foster home, how much I had to go without food? Hey, I have children. I know how to go without food. So it came at a good time because I learned. I didn't have to be selfish and I'm going to eat and y'all just get a little bit. No, I gave my children food. If we only had a loaf of bread and some milk, hey, y'all eat the bread. I don't need to eat anything. I'll drink me some water. Hmm. Some people just don't know how to be a parent. It's just simple as that. That's all it is. They just don't know how to be a parent. They don't know how to make sacrifices. They really don't. If you have the last piece of bread, you don't eat any of it. You give it to your kids. You don't take it. If all y'all have is a teeny bit of thing water, you give it to your kids. The only thing you do, take a sip, just enough so that you don't get dehydrated. Young people don't know how to survive without nothing. Don't know how to survive. You know why? Because many of you started out receiving too much from many of your parents. So you became entitled. So now that you don't have much of anything, you don't know how to survive out here with nothing. I told you, I know how to do without, and I know how to preserve and do with. Simple as that. I bet a lot of y'all out there probably have cable service. What for? What for? Where you got cable? You can't watch every channel. What you got cable for? So, and you wonder how and why you don't have what you want, or why you're not in a certain point in your life where you thought you should have been. Downsize. And downsize. There's a lot of things that you have that you probably don't even need or don't even use. Example, I'm gonna show with me. I had a closet full of clothes. Closet full of clothes. A lot of my former coworkers seen how large my closet was. You can actually fit a whole room, another room. You can turn that closet into a actual bedroom for like a child, of course. I had that many clothes. On one side of the closet, I have like work clothes, and on the other side of the closet, I have more international clothes I like a lot of hijabs and, a lot of clothes that people from India wore, people, Muslims wore, a lot of outfits that the Chinese or the Asian people wore. I love international clothing. So on that side of my closet was nothing but international clothing. Okay, well, COVID hit. There was no need for me to, have a lot of clothes. So I went in my closet and I said, okay. And I was talking to my clothes. I said, okay, if I haven't worn you within the last 6 months, then I don't need you. And I started pulling clothes down that I hadn't worn in the last 6 months. And guess where them clothes went? I gave some to the Salvation Army, I gave some to Goodwill, and I gave some to my contractor who cut my grass. I gave them to his church to, give to people that the indigent people that did not have. Okay, yeah, they nice clothes, but I didn't need them. Same thing with shoes. Didn't need them. Okay. My closet now, I have very few outfits in my closet because now that I am medically um, retired because of medical condition, due to a lot of my service connection from when I was over in Iraq, that had gotten worse, that had worsened over time. I'm no longer working full time, but so I don't need a lot of clothes. So now what I wear, well, a lot of times is what you see me when I do my podcast. I wear sweatshirts, I wear t-shirts, I wear hoodies. That's my look now. Now, if I'm going out to a wedding, to a baby shower, to church, especially then going out to eat dinner, I'll, dress up with something other than sweats and t-shirts and shorts. But as for makeup, as y'all see, I don't wear makeup when I on these podcasts. I try to put on my eyebrows, because for some reason as I gotten older, I don't have any eyebrows. And I believe a lot of that has to do with the certain medications that I'm on too. So sometimes medication can really ruin um, things internally as well as externally. So, but I do make sure that, I have on, my, eyebrows. I used to have them tattooed. Well, I call them tattooed. The young people, I'm sure y'all call it something else. Micro braiding and, um, what is that? Threading. And I used to have all that done. That's a waste of money. See? Waste of money. Why throw that away when I could be using that money for something else? else. And right now, I'm just trying to, um, worry about my grandchildren. I don't want my grandchildren to have to work for anyone. So I'm in the process of trying to build generational wealth for my grandchildren while I'm still helping other people. That's what you do. My grandparents didn't do that for my parents. My parents didn't do that for me and my siblings. I didn't do it for my children. You know anything about that much about investments and saving and trust funds, and I didn't know anything about all of that stuff. It wasn't taught to me by my parents. It wasn't taught to me in school. The only thing I remember in school that they taught us about was, there was an economic class that we had taken. We learned about debit and credit, how to balance a checkbook. There wasn't anything much more than that was taught in high school. So adults now and adults with grandchildren, I'm learning more and more about trust funds and all of that stuff for my grandchildren. Again, I don't want them working for anyone. If they choose that's what they want to do, then so be it. But I want them to have a choice. I want them to have a choice. So I'm about to end here because I'm getting tired anyway. And my back is starting to hurt, as you can see. I'm constantly moving around and I'm just tired. Um, and my bronchitis is not doing well. So I'm going to end here. But I hope you guys learned something from me today about looking for a job, being proactive. Because look, life is short, and nowadays people are selfish. Nobody's going to tell you step by step how to do things. I learned that the hard way because I hired someone. I'm gonna make that short. I'm not going to go into detail, but I hired someone to assist me to look at my ledgers and let me know what is it that I'm doing or not doing, what I should be doing to perfect my business, my organization. There has to be something because um, every year when it's that time of fundraising to help raise money for other 501(c)s and private organ- organizations and agencies, um, many people will RSVP, but when it's time to pay, they're not going to. And mind you, when when people tell me that they're going to attend, and when I have a total amount of people that have RSVP, I send that number to my chef, who then sends me an invoice and to tell me how much it's going to cost me for the meals. Okay. And then when those people at the last minute tell me they're not going to attend because something came up, that hurts my pockets. Okay. And now I have to come out my pockets to pay the difference. So that's why I hired this particular marketing so-called business person to tell me how can I bring in more revenue. Basically, they asked me, well, do you, how else are you, I mean, what else are you doing during the year? I said, well, I am, searching for the recipient that I can write a check to help them with their doors stay open. They said, so you're not teaching anything during the year? I said, no. So they introduced me to um, doing webinars. Okay. Then they suggested that I reactivate my LinkedIn account because I had used LinkedIn when it first came out back in the early 2000, but I didn't see any benefits of using it, so I just closed it out. Well, I reopened it or I reactivated it, and it has come a long way. It really has. For those of you who are looking for a job, go on LinkedIn. You can get you a job. For those of you who wanted to to corroborate and establish a connection, business relationships with other organizations that share the same interests as your organization. Go on LinkedIn. They have everything you need right there, because LinkedIn is supposed to be more of a professional social media page opposed to Facebook. Okay, so and I can truly say it has come a long way. I really enjoy LinkedIn. I met some wonderful business professionals on LinkedIn, hardworking professionals that share the same interests, if not more. And I admire all my connections, everything, what everyone does, from the advocates to the victims to the survivors. I mean, I work with some awesome individuals. I always enjoy reading their posts to see what they've done, what they achieved, so forth. So, but anyway, I'm gonna end here. I've said enough, and I'm tired again. I need to go and drink me some tea because that's what I enjoy drinking is tea. I think I'm going to drink some hibiscus tea. I've been drinking green tea all day today, and I'm going to drink some hibiscus for the night to relax my entire body. I'm tired. So I will see you guys again, hopefully tomorrow, if the Lord spares my life. And bless me to see another day. And you guys stay safe, stay encouraged, stay empowered, and stay blessed. Until tomorrow, this is Real Talk with Yolanda. Mwah.